I thought this was a good subject for a 10-15 minute daily drawing exercise because the architecture was relatively simple and we can really just work on the proportions and the placements and the perspective. But there was quite a bit of foliage around it, trees, hedging, some street plantings, and a bit of foreground, which I thought would be nice to include to give more of a sense of a scene than an object than we have in some of these exercises. So that's the plan. It's to have enough time to do enough of the foliage with a little more care than we normally have. Well, not so much care as time, and time determines the technique. And some techniques are more time consuming than others because we're creating more significant effects through our lines, particularly dealing with or drawing with a 0.1 millimeter pen, as I am here. Now, the lower line on these two windows is angled too much. It should be much closer to being straight without actually being straight. And I try and correct it and manage to not really correct it. So there we go. Hopefully it won't be so noticeable at the end. Now, these windows aren't blacked out behind. They must have blinds or curtains, so we're not getting dark shadows behind them. I'm still trying to get a sense of 3 dimensions despite the very small scale that we're drawing on. Despite the very small size that we're drawing on. And just trying to get the rest of this positioned. I need to start committing to the foliage shortly because it really does affect most of the placements of the further lines. I think I actually can position the roofing elements. So I'll just do that so that that's done. So I work out what the point of the roof line is, where it aligns with what's underneath, and then I find that same point and estimate the height as best I can, and that gives me that. And I just realised that I don't actually draw the chimney on this. That's a detail I never went back to. I stayed down at ground level. So my take home from that is when I'm doing an extreme part of the photo, particularly something that's not a core element, I really should do it before I forget. Now, this section that comes out set back doesn't actually go out very far. The foreshortening keeps it tucked in closely to what we've already drawn, so I don't want to let it go too far along the page. So the perspective in terms of angles of horizontal lines isn't hugely extreme in this scene, but we always have foreshortening. Foreshortening is the other side of the perspective coin. We have the angles, which are caused by the height of things becoming smaller as they move further away, and we have foreshortening, which is where the width of things becomes smaller or narrower, as we would say, as they move further away. And the two work together in any object, not just buildings, anything. Trees have foreshortening, people have foreshortening, but because buildings are so large, it's more obvious. And not just large, but they're of geometric shapes that we recognize easily, box-like shapes, and therefore the impact, the visual impact of the principles of perspective are more obvious. But we shouldn't think that we don't have to learn perspective because we don't really draw buildings. So we've got that last little bit of the building done, and now we're trying to work out, well, I'm trying to work out this foliage, and particularly the street planting trees. There's a row of trees here, small trees. Here I am just positioning where the small trunk, or it's probably more of a stem, goes into the ground, and I start to create the foliage. I end up making this first bush larger several times. And I'm doing this darker and the other street ones darker because they're a different colour. They're a dark purple, and so while the value isn't hugely different to the darkness of the green and the value that creates, I still want to get a sense that in my finished drawing that it's quite a different looking colour. So this is where we're not slaves to our drawing. We're perfectly free to manipulate what we see within the bounds of reality if we want our finished drawing to have a sense of reality. Within the bounds of reality, we're perfectly free to make adjustments to create a better effect. And then we have this bit of white fence. I've managed to do so many lines that it's hard to tell that it really is white, but never mind. I'll try and make it darker around it to create the effect of lightening what's there at the fence. Oh, I've made it even darker. Wonderful. Maybe it's a lost cause. Let's see how it looks at the end. If I were redrawing this, that's something I would focus on. And it can be tremendously helpful to redraw these exercises one after the other. Ideally in the same session if you've got time, because everything's fresh in your mind, everything's there remembered, and the I wish I could have that moment again moments are there to have again. And so you can check that perspective angle that wasn't quite right. You can do that bit of foreshortening more accurately than you realized it needed to be done in the first instance. And if possible, you might have more time to create more hatching effects to darken values. So even if just occasionally there's time to do it again, but it's particularly worth doing again if there's a number of significant mistakes that you can quite clearly improve upon. It's good both for skill development and for morale to have a more accurate looking drawing, a drawing that more represents what you were thinking, what your creative mind was imagining from the photo. Remember, we're not trying to draw the photo, we're trying to do a drawing that uses the photo as its starting point. And it's very helpful to try and imagine how your drawing is going to look at the end, to have a sense of the darks, the lights, the focal point, the various visual effects that you're going to create. And so now we move into double time because we've just ticked over the 10-minute barrier. And so I'm now trying to define the ground level with those dots. I had been working on something that was a bit lower than that, and I realized those marks are going to be very unhelpful if I lock them in. So I'm now just trying to use marks that reflect the fact that we have different foliage in different places and different shrubs. That this isn't just one massive foliage of all the one plant. I think it's very important that we establish that there are different plants, different shrubs. Some are closer than others. This all helps to create the sense of 3 dimensions. If we just do what's basically a foliage pattern across all of the green foliage that we have here, and we don't try and distinguish the individual trees and shrubs, then it ends up looking very 2-dimensional. So we're trying to avoid that by making clear what is and isn't a particular bush. Actually, I think we've only just now flicked into double time. I was thinking it was pretty slow for double time. So here we go. Still trying to work out myself where the various bushes are and what's closer and what's further. Just making this street one a bit larger and a bit darker. We read values off other values, so we often end up having to keep redrawing, not redrawing, but re-adding to the hatching in any given spot to make it darker now that we've progressed a bit more to see where it is. And look, I think this is the double time now, actually. I think we have been working on real time up till now. Sorry, the indicators that I put in my editing to tell me when I switched to double time, I think were a bit misleading at that point. So sorry about that. So definitely in double time now as we finish the foliage and we start to do this foreground section. Now, I don't want to overwork the foreground. I really want to indicate it because it isn't the main subject, but it gives us nice depth and it gives a bit of street context to our scene, to our lovely Georgian sandstone building here. So again, this is where you earn your money trying to do hatching with a 0.1 millimeter pen. And there are some trees in the distance that I'm now going to do. I want to darken these ones in this corner so that corner pops out a bit more visually. So just do that roof. And then I'm done with no chimney. G'day, I'm Stephen Travers. Look, I hope you found this helpful. Please hit the like button. Help me out if you did find it helpful. And why not have a go? I really hope this series is progressing your drawing skills. And I would love to hear if that's the case in a comment from you. But look, whatever you're drawing, however you draw it, whenever you draw it, make sure you have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.